Well, good morning, and you may have guessed, not on the Outer Hebrides anymore. A few more trees around this area. So yeah, we're actually about 20 miles west of Inverness, an area that I know reasonably well. We've been here a number of times before, stayed in this area in the van a number of times. And so I wanted to come back to this area now. It's funny how us photographers talk about when's peak autumn going to be, when's peak autumn, and then all of a sudden we're like, I think peak autumn's gone. Now it does sound like this area and most of northwest Scotland, in fact a lot of the Lake District, have had a phenomenal autumn. But I'd already made peace with the fact that given that we had to change our plans a little bit and go to the Outer Hebrides first, I wasn't going to get spectacular autumn colours, but that's okay. Because actually we're starting to see the first throes of winter. Certainly on the tops there's a little bit of snow hanging around, so a mixture of maybe a little bit of that last autumn colour and a little bit of winter is kind of what I'm looking for. Now today is a very overcast, nondescript day, so today is definitely going to be more about scouting. There's I think 2, maybe 3 areas that I want to have a bit of a wander about and see whether there's something that may work tomorrow and maybe into Thursday, because tomorrow especially it looks like we're going to have the potential of some mist, some icy conditions, which hopefully will help accentuate the environment here. Now as I say, it's quite a damp, drizzly day, which can work in woodland as well, so you never know, we might get something today, but today is more about scouting. And for me, this sort of photography in woodland, where it's extremely complex, I find extremely challenging. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit about composition versus emotion, or composition versus atmosphere. There are a number of phenomenal woodland photographers out there. Probably just me saying that, you're already reeling off in your head a couple of them. And there, it seems to be the growing sort of de jour of woodland photography, mist, gorgeous light coming through. And I kind of look at a number of those images and they're beautiful and they really do sort of get an emotion going in you, but I struggle to see a composition. Now that's not a bad thing, it's just a question that I've been asking myself. Composition versus that emotive, and so kind of today that's what's in my head a little bit. The complex nature of woodland photography makes you really think about composition, but at the same time, if we get the conditions good over the next couple of days, there may actually be some situations where it's more just of a emotion that I'm feeling, and sort of that, trying to bring that out in the image. So anyway, it does sound like I'm rambling again, so we'll take a wander down to circuit look, see whether we can find something that may work in better conditions. Quite nice to have trees again. Don't get me wrong, I like the Outer Hebrides, but I love the Outer Hebrides, but it's nice to have trees there. So I came across a lovely, there's actually been a couple of lovely little scenes. I've crossed over the river and walking back to the van, and you go through little pockets of sort of not much colour, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get hit with all these burnt oranges of the ferns. And came across a little stand of silver birch behind me, another clump of three, and kind of what's sort of helping me visualise maybe an end product is there is just a little bit of dampness in the air, and then top left hand corner of the frame as I was composing it, there was just a little bit of light leak coming in, which was helping to sort of naturally diffuse the background as well. So it kind of potentially has an option as well. There hasn't been a huge amount, I must admit, and don't get me wrong, it's still beautiful to be out here walking. It just is such a privilege. And it's one of those situations that maybe with just the whole mixture of mist and light coming through, there would be a whole additional, and this is one of the things I kind of am struggling with, you know, that whole pre-visualization. I think, you know, you can walk into a location with perfect conditions and snap, 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 and you get some really nice emotive shots, but maybe there hasn't been a lot of thought behind the composition. And again, as I said at the start of the video, that's okay, because I'm not sure there's a right answer to, you know, strongly executed composition versus, you know, a little moment in time just taken. Both can have, you know, the same merit, extremely good merit. So I've kind of struggled to do that pre-visualization, but this is one, just because that little bit of light leaking through and a little bit of dampness in the air kind of helped me sort of pre-visualize. But the burnt oranges are just fantastic, just beautiful. And as I say, you walk through and all of a sudden it's just there in front of you. So yeah, there's just a little sort of path of green that maybe sort of helps lead the eye as well. A little bit of extra diffusion, so you never know. So I've now moved location, and already I can potentially see more options here, especially if we do get some of that mist sort of diffusing sort of the depth of the image. And I've literally just walked in here, you know, 5 minutes, and already I sort of see a scene that potentially has some options. Sort of on the right hand side of the frame there's a lovely natural path, and then there's still some lovely mixture of sort of burnt ambers and yellows with the really sort of bright white thin tree trunks, and then of course the texture in this bad boy here. So the potential maybe. So again though, I mean, it looked like we were getting a little bit of light that could have actually brought something out today, but no, that seems to have been covered over again. Although we do now have a bit more drizzle, so that may add a little bit of that diffusion that I'm after. So there's a potential here. Also, funny story, last time I was here I wandered off up into the woods to have a pee, and I was mid-pee, and next thing someone bolted past me. Now they didn't see me, thank goodness, because it was none other than Joe Cornish, and the last thing you want to do is meet one of your photographic heroes for the first time in a state of, well, in that kind of state. So yeah, fact of the day. Again, came across this little scene here which caught my eye, and it's the sort of juxtaposition of the many birches all twisting this way and that, along with of course just little pockets of autumn colour. You know, obviously one would say, wouldn't it be great to have autumn colour everywhere, but actually just having those little pockets of autumn colour, including literally just a couple of leaves, and in fact I can actually see the leaves falling around me in the sort of little bits and bobs as he gets attacked by a dog. See, told you they don't like tripods. So yeah, so just playing a little bit with this scene here. Again, complex. Again, part of me thinks I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's a lot of fun. Well, I have now moved along to my final little recce location, and again it's a little bit of woodland that I know reasonably well, and in fact there's a scene just to your right, to my left, that I photographed a couple of times, and it actually looks like there's been a little bit of damage done to one of the trees, but anyway, yeah, definitely looks like my autumn colours have all but gone, because this branch here sometimes has just some lovely golden leaves on it. But as you can see, given the conditions that we've had today, this was expected, this, you know, clearing up, and in fact it's going to be a very, very cold, still night tonight, which is what we're hoping for, to maybe get some of that frost and mist tomorrow. So I'm going to have a bit of a wander around this little area here, but I think that I've already kind of made my decision, and I think I'm going to go to the second location that I was in tomorrow morning. This is a beautiful, beautiful place, and hopefully I'll get to shoot this in the next day or so, and some of those colder conditions will remain. But I just think that there's a couple of compositions in a couple of areas that I'd like to cover tomorrow morning in that frost in the previous location. This is one of the things I love. You know, it's one of those places that is completely almost nondescript. It doesn't appear in any guide. It's not famous for, you know, anyone coming in and shooting it, but in terms of potential, absolutely beautiful. So hopefully we do get a little bit of frosty conditions the day after tomorrow, and I can come back here and shoot some of this. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this little recce. That's all really today has been about, and I think it's a very important part of photography, just being out, knowing that you're not necessarily going to get an image that is a keeper, or whatever that means, but just really playing about, trying to pre-visualize, and using the opportunity, at least I do anyway, using the opportunity when conditions are maybe less than perfect to at least fine-tune some of that composition, or try to sort of get your eye into the composition. Now, as I said at the beginning of the vlog, I think that composition can quite often change when the conditions come in, because all of a sudden you're reacting more to the conditions. But I still think it's a useful exercise, and you know, I'm gonna, you know, be the first to admit that I struggle greatly in all manner of photography related items, but especially in woodland. But it is an area that I do really enjoy, you know, trumping through. So enough rambling, time to go and maybe make some more images and then hunker down, because word on the street is it's going to be -5 tonight, so whack up that heating in the van. Catch up next time. Bye bye.